It's you, it's me, it's the DAD, and this is going to be a different one. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to make this into a short, so there's a good chance most of you aren't even going to see this. But I'm going to try anyway. I received a comment that I want to talk about. So I'm going to try and post the comment, but if I can't, let me just read it to you. I have it here because I want to make sure that I read it right, and I want to do it credit where it's due because it is a very thoughtful, though very specific comment. So it reads, honestly, nobody's really watching these because the whole your new dad persona feels forced. The advice is generic, every video looks the same, and the vibe comes off more awkward than inspiring. It's actually uncomfortable to watch at times. People connect with authenticity, not a character trying to be everyone's dad. Now, I don't want to put this person's name out there because I cannot stress this enough. I am super glad that this person wrote this, so that I have a chance to talk to you about it. Now, I want to start with why do my videos look the way they do? As you can see, I'm in front of a door because I do this on my breaks. Because that's the only time I get to do this. Because in real life, I have my kids, my stepkids, my wife. My family takes up the majority of my time, and that's fine because they deserve my time. And when I do get a little bit of time, I try to focus a lot on doing hobby stuff because that keeps my sanity well. The reason that they all look the same is because I filmed them in the same place. The reason that it comes off kind of awkward, I guess, is how he described it, or they described it. The reason it comes off as awkward, and I've actually had this criticism from my own family members, is I don't script this. What happens is whenever something comes up in my life, especially in my kids' lives, and they need some kind of wisdom, I make a note of it, and then I sit down and I think about it for a little bit, and then I come here to the camera and I talk to you. And I do it like this because when I give my kids advice and I try to help them, I don't script out what I'm going to say to them because, like for example, if you watch wrestling, you'll know that scripted promos feel really inauthentic because if you're just reading the words that you wrote, there's no natural pauses to any of it, and I want to avoid that. Now, early in my doing this, I used a filter for my voice, and the reason was actually because the audio on my phone at the time wasn't picking up very well, and I bought a little mic kit off Amazon, but I never got it to work with Apple, which is what I'm using, and I've gotten a new phone since then, so now I try not to do the audio thing because it caused people to think that I was using AI to do this whole thing, and I'm not. And I don't mind my voice being on it. That's why. That's the reason. All right, so why do I give mostly generic advice that's not hyper specific? And why do I give it to anyone and not do advice for specific groupings of people? And the answer for that is actually super, super simple. When it comes to giving advice to people, especially dad advice, one of the things I've learned is that you have to make it as generic as you can because it's interpretive. So when I say, for example, when I say that, yes, it's hard right now, but, if you look down deep, you can find the strength to get through it. It's a super generic piece of advice because what that means to you and what it means to her and what it means to him is very different. And the way that you hear that advice is interpreted to your situation. And the more specific I make the advice, the less room you have to make it relevant to you. So if I tell you a very generic piece of advice that's good advice, then it's easier for more people to make it apply to them than if I tell you a very specific piece of advice that only applies to one of you in one situation one time. And while that might be the advice you need, you can kind of come full circle with that with the generic advice most of the time. Now, as far as being a character, this is an interesting one. This is the only part of this that I take offense with, and it's only because I made a decision a long, long time ago. I don't know my dad. I grew up without a father. I grew up with the most fantastic mother in the world. She did the best that she could. Everything that she came short on, I fully, fully forgive and I support, and I cannot be more thankful for my mother than I am. But I grew up without a father, and I know what that feels like. I'm almost 40, and I remember being in middle and high school without a dad And I actually have some memories even as far back as elementary school without being a dad. And that is a terrible feeling. And I've met people who are adults who have never heard their father, who they know and love and have a relationship with, say, I'm proud of you. In fact, it's such a common stereotype that Bo Burnham, one of my favorite comedians, frequently makes the joke like having a father who says "I love you" is a thing that is so preposterous that it's comedical. There's value in the humor of the idea of a father saying that "I love you" and "I'm proud of you." Period. So I am like this in real life. I try not to curse as much on here, although I don't curse as much now that I'm older anyway. But this is what I'm like. I come off as kind of socially awkward because I don't know you. This isn't me and you sitting down and having a conversation, as much as I would love for that to be the case. And I need this to be a generic enough so that the people who need it can find it. As far as feeling forced, the only thing that's forced on this is I force myself out of my normal comfort zone to be on camera because I want to do this, and it's not entirely for noble reasons, honestly. And it's not for the reasons you probably think. Like, I don't care about your new dad making money. I don't. That's why it's such a low priority. That's why these videos come out at whatever time they do, whenever I get the chance to make them. Because the reality is that this is not a economic adventure for me. That's not why I'm doing it. The reason I'm doing it is actually much, much more selfish. Kinda. Let me explain. So, I am intimately aware that my life is finite. And one day I will die. And nothing I do or say will change that. And my children are so important to me and they matter so much to me that the idea of leaving them behind scares me on a very personal level. And my oldest son, who is almost an adult, who I almost brought in to do this video, but he is very cautious of internet security, and he's also doing a stream in his own pursuits, so I don't want to put him in a situation where he's on camera and can be identified by a bloodline. But he is so smart and so ahead for his age and for his maturity, but he also inherited my overthinking. So the idea that I'm going to die one day has caused him to have full panic attacks. And I don't want my children or my grandchildren, when their day comes, to ever feel like their father or grandfather isn't there. So this whole channel, everything that I'm doing, is as much for my kids as it is for anyone else. Now, the second reason that I do it, the more altruistic reason that I do it, is I met a lot of folks in a short period of time who just didn't have a dad, and they didn't have a dad figure. There was no male figure in their life spreading positivity, telling them that they're beautiful, that they're smart, that they're valuable. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, my dad has never said, "I'm proud of you" to me, and I am almost 30. It shocks me to my core because I tell my children I'm proud of them every day. It is a vital part of my day. I want them to know. And it's a cultural stigma that we have right now. And it's actually such a stigma that they make fun of it in, like, American Dad, for example. And that really makes me sad. And I wanted to do something about it. And, you know, if I don't work for you, that's fine. And you know what? I'm super grateful you watched it. If it made you uncomfortable and you didn't like it and you still watched it and bothered to type a response to it, like, man, kudos, thank you. That is an awesome thing for you to spend your time doing. But if there's like 2 of you out there who needed to hear that their dad loved them and just didn't, if you find this and you hear this, that makes the whole thing worthwhile to me. Like, I'm not here to help people who have functioning parents who are supportive and proud. Like, I'm here because some people don't. And if I can make that better for someone, then this was all worth it. And if I can't, then hopefully my kids will like it. All right, but that's all I have time for, because I record on TikTok, because they have the only editor I can work with on my phone, because I'm old and this is the best I can do with this. And I have to record everything in their 10-minute cycles, and I have to record everything in their shorts because the actual videos don't do very well. If you have any other questions or anything else you'd like to ask about how or why I do this, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you. I love you. I'm proud of you, and have a great day.